Now we are.
Now we're live, Mr. Chairman.
All right, there we go. I'm like, it was on a blank screen, so let me get rid of it. All right, so volunteer and meeting of the Almont Heritage Festival. This would be the wrap up for 2024's event. We already had our volunteer dinner. Just so you're aware, we do a pre-dinner for all the volunteers, kind of go over job duties, hand out all their shirts and their badges and everything. On the badges has all the contact phone numbers for all the group leads. And then afterwards, we do a thank you dinner. But I think from the feedback from that, people wanted it at 6 o'clock, not 7 o'clock.
Yeah, 7 was.
So next year we'll do it at 6. So I don't think there's a perfect time in the fall with everything going on.
No.
So. But turnout was about a half is what we had for the first one, which is normal. So, but for those watching and everybody, obviously, as I said that evening, we could have done it with all the volunteers. What was the total? Do we have a total number of volunteers again? Was it in the 40s? Do you recall?
It's not in here, is it? It's on.
No, I have.
It's on a different spreadsheet.
Yeah,
it's on a different spreadsheet, but we were close to 40.
Yeah, we were pretty close to what we had last year. So we had a great turnout. Like I said, that day of, I had somebody reach out to me that day and said they want to be on to help the event next year. I've had a few people reach out after. So, I mean, to me, it's fantastic. So unless anybody has everything, I will just kind of go into each of the categories. The first one.
Wait, I actually wanted to know, do you want to do the financials first? And then I listed them at the end, but in case we run out of time, do you want to do what? I mean, it's up to you guys.
We're going to run out of time.
They're all in here, so you can read them at your own convenience.
Well, since everybody's looking at it now, might as well.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
you want
sorry.
to go over that?
I mean, this is the first time I saw it too, but sure.
So I put the 2023 expenditures and revenues in here just for reference. At the very bottom, highlighted in blue, you can see what our wrap-up meeting numbers were. And then I had Kim pull the end of fiscal year reports so you can see what the actual numbers were. So we actually only made about half of what we thought we would make, or we anticipated making last year, and that was with the golf cart raffle. The only thing I would say is that Heritage Fest, I don't know how much of that was from the previous Heritage Fest because it crosses over fiscal years. We usually start spending for ads and things like that before June 30th. So it's going to be hard to get an exact number for that fiscal year. This year, I'm going to make a note when I start spending the very first thing on Heritage Fest so I can have her pull reports from that date to October 30th or whatever so that we can get a more accurate picture. Then there's the 2024 expenditures and revenues. We did have, I don't want to call it a loss, but we did lose money this year, but we had it.
I wouldn't call it a loss. It's a marketing.
Correct.
It's a marketing
We
amount.
used all of that money.
We spent more than was donated.
Yep, but we used it to bring people to our businesses, which is what we're here for. I did make notes for things that I knew increased or new additions, and also decreases on the notes column, so you could kind of see, obviously with inflation, several things went up. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new additions to the festival this year.
You spent a lot more on the car show.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I'm not against.
Well, we had the two-way radios, which were borrowed before.
Oh, the DJ was significantly more.
The DJ was quite a bit more because we had to spread out the speakers.
We did the keychains. We did the two-way radios. We had the cord covers, which were almost $300. which I probably am going to send
I
back.
was just gonna say,
I would say
you
I
might
would
wanna,
s-
might be past the time to do that. You might wanna check on that soon.
Yeah, I would, if we could send them back, because the ones that we got borrowed, we got to get a hold of Kyle. They're still in my barn. He said he was going to send a guy to my house to get them, but I still have his 3 industrial cord covers and then a 3-way
Those are so
splitter.
much nicer, but they're so much more expensive.
They are.
So
But if we can utilize that going forward, and let me just make a note, just so you understand, the DDA does not have to make a profit per se. Ideally, we don't want to spend too much in that regard, but we're here to promote the downtown area, right?
Success.
Correct, right? And if the businesses are successful, it promotes the area and it brings people in. It's just a marketing cost, right? And that's perfectly okay. Last year, to give you an idea, yes, we netted a profit on it, but last year, 2 things occurred. We did a golf cart raffle, which
And a
was
cover
a
charge.
significant increase to that. We also did,
It's really the difference.
our
well,
cover charge.
and we did cover charge. So this year, the cover charge was given to Roots, who did the $3,000 sponsorship for the entertainment tent. We let him do the cover for that to help recoup some of those costs, because we don't know what that's going to be. If it rains out, it rains out, right? It's a crapshoot. The golf cart, we opted not to do this year. We were looking at doing a side-by-side raffle in partnership with the Lions Club, and we all know how that went. They declined it. We just didn't have the capacity to take on 100% of trying to sell $20,000 worth of tickets. So if we would have had that, I would have think we would have been at least what we did before.
Yes, and we had our actual difference should have been $1,000 more, but we donated that to the fire department.
That's
so,
Race last year?
I mean, all in all, with all of the
Yeah,
increases, we ordered twice as many porta potties.
Yes.
We had to spend $3,000 extra in a tent because we couldn't use a staked tent. Family Tradition and Sunset Boulevard were both more expensive. We added Wayland. The DJ was more expensive. We did the keychains for the goodie bags because we were short on items. In several of these things that we ordered, we won't have to order again. Just like last year, our signage was
Almost twice as much.
almost double what it was this year. Next year, it will be even less because we have all of the parking signs. We have the race directional signs. We have a lot of things we won't have to repurchase.
And let me make a note. So the porta potty, that was on feedback from our vendors, participants, members, everything, everybody. So again, we're listening to the people, the attendees in the crowd. And it did come in at a cost, but I think we didn't have things were getting filled up pretty quick last year, and just having the extra just made life easier. We had another one where we didn't have one before next to the kid area, so that was nice to have it for the parents. We had them also spread out through the whole event instead of just central downtown. So as we go through this and think through it, that helps. But the porta potty we had split out. So that's the thing too. Porta potties, it looks like we just have it listed under the car show for the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because last year we had them in only 2 locations, inside the beer tent fence and then in 1 location for the car show. This year I listed them under 1 line item because they were spread throughout and they were used for everything all day.
Okay, so
That's
that was
fine.
just underneath festival. I got you. Okay, that makes sense.
I thought it was gonna be worse, to be perfectly honest, so.
Yeah.
It's good.
And we have enough in the coffers to cover it. But importantly, feedback from those that I talked to were very, very good. I talked to one of our vendors today. He told me he did a little over 600 there. He obviously hoped for more, but it was his first year, and we chatted through, because he does sell car specific stuff. If he's a reoccurring person, they know he's there. They know the type of product he makes. So he feels that should be beneficial going forward. But he I'll give you his name later, but he said make sure you contact him next year. As long as timing's good, he'll be back. He enjoyed it.
Was it the one that okay, perfect. Good.
So, and then the 5K made about $537. Is that correct?
Yep, that's Holly's
Yep.
beautiful spreadsheet.
If you can follow it. It's busy.
Which is pretty amazing since we added metals this year, which was a
And we
significant
doubled our
cost.
signage cost.
We doubled our signage cost with all the directional signs, but that's okay because
Right,
we
they're
probably
reusable,
won't
for
have
sure.
to. I mean, we might have to order
We need to
some
order a
next
couple
year,
more for next
but
year, yeah.
it won't
It'll be minimal, yeah.
anything like that.
No. Yep.
Anything more on to the cost and revenues?
I have nothing.
I don't have anything else. I just wanted.
I'm impressed because I know a lot of our costs went up this year.
Well, to say it's just that type
And
of
it was
year.
things that were needed too. Oh, I mean, not just economy wise, like adding more porta potties, having a different kind of tent. Like we knew costs were going to go up. So it's
And
good.
tent was significant too because of, and that really wasn't done until the last couple minutes. So,
Well, no, we knew what kind we needed, right, ahead of time.
no, originally
No.
I didn't know
Oh,
we were
okay.
going to need a pull tent
Oh, okay.
until
days before.
like
It was that Friday
It was-
before. So, I mean, that was a $3,000 upgrade. So, I mean, basically at that point in time, we're break even. And again, next year, maybe we talk about, we'd have to do it earlier, but I can get the same deal on that side by side through that company. And, that's another 10 grand if we do it
That's
ourselves.
More people on our
We
board.
potentially have more people on board, sell some tickets or
spread
pass
the
them around.
wealth.
So,
yeah, it would be nice to have more help.
Yeah.
And maybe we can do it again.
well, that'll be a conversation for later Heritage Fest. But let's move on then. Car show wise, let's go. I'm sorry, volunteers. And again, we're going with what worked, what didn't, or potential changes for 2022. And that's in the
25.
form of registration, parking, judging, raffle, just the general area for the volunteers.
So registration, I loved having it up there. Obviously, it was somewhat of, it was difficult because it was new for everyone, right? There were certainly people that were upset at the way things were going, and that's going to happen no matter what we do or how good we are. I don't really care. But things that we can do better. The tent we use up there for registration has to have sides, because when we pulled up there was a mob of nearly angry people like shoving their paperwork in my girls' faces. So we figured if we had sides, if we could get ourselves organized for a minute before people attacked the ladies with their angry attitudes, that would be super helpful.
Okay. Hold on, let me throw this out. What if we just roped it off?
I don't even. They shouldn't even be able to lean in there.
Code and have people scan with their phones and register?
Yes, except that car show guys will not use technology.
Oh.
For the most part. Most of
Some
them won't
will.
even give me an email address.
Right? Some will, and some will we
But
do.
If you get the ones that can, it'll lessen people.
We do have a decent amount of people that pre-register, but still, they still have to come up and get their stuff and, all the things. So
So we did a QR code for registration. We could look into it stuff because I know Janaea has looked into automate the actual registration. So, I mean, there are things that going forward, we kind of have the plan set. After this, it's going to be honing in, how do we make it easier?
yeah.
And electronic definitely could be that well.
Yeah.
But to that point though,
Or if you have those emails and you send them out to people that participated prior year, tell them get it in early. And
That's what
We do.
Prime spot.
We
That's
do.
what we do. We send all of our pre-registrants from the year before the registration forms. If they didn't give an email, I mail them to them. But a lot of car show guys want to wait till the last minute to make sure the weather is nice, A. And B, they have to, I don't know the fix to, even if you pre-register, you still have to go to the registration table to get your goodie bag and check in and get your number for your car. So we have to
Has
work
to.
through, if we could find a solution to that.
Or if you give them a QR code and have somebody walk through and scan the QR code off their car.
but they would still have to get them their judging number and their dash thing.
So Charlie's going to a huge car show in Chicago. Well, he goes every year, but this year his mission is to speak with the registration people and find out how they do it now that he has seen firsthand how we do it, because he helped at registration this year with us. So that's Charlie's mission. He's going to help us find a better way, because none of us are professionals at this.
My thought is, I guess like the table, if you're registering, then have another table for pre-registered. That
did.
way,
we did.
did we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this side was
And-
pre-registered and this side was
I was just gonna
registration.
ask,
It just
did
seemed
that
like
work?
Everybody came to the one side. of the circle.
We could do 2 separate tents.
Yeah, we
Did
could do
that
2
work?
tents.
Did it seem to go a little smoother? Like
It,
this is
it definitely
only,
went smoother than last year. Don't get me wrong. The only confusion on like the participants part was lineup, staging. People were angry about that. That
You
was,
guys had a
oh, we
lot
do.
bigger Turnout too.
Yeah,
It's
also-
complicated things than this.
right. And I think people forget that this is only our second year on Van Dyke. We moved registration this year, so it's our first year with registration where it was.
Yep.
And this is only the second year that this car show has been big,
Yeah.
but like,
But so
Big.
all the girls that helped at registration they thought things, well, the girls that had been there the year before thought things definitely went a lot better. They loved having the cards pre-numbered, which Angela and I have an even better plan for next year. We're going to make our own cards and they will come pre-numbered from the printer.
Yeah.
I just lost my train of thought. Charlie was super helpful in classing, and just, we need people up there that have positive, can't be phased attitudes, and he is one of those people. Phil, who helped with lineup, is he don't get ruffled. I was like, dude, you have to come back next year. He was absolutely beyond helpful. So I definitely need at least in the morning, first thing in the morning, I need more bodies to direct people. It was like chaos when we showed up. So I could use like a couple more guys down there first thing in the morning, and they can probably go after like the first hour or 2 once we get a rhythm. But I just need people to direct people in cars
So
because it was wild.
let me throw out that volunteer wise, we had a bunch sitting around doing nothing, and I think that would be helpful.
Yes.
I think next year for every volunteer, we need to have not just group them into a lump of what they're doing, but if you say I want 4 or 5 bodies for directing cars, we're gonna make that happen on that op sheet. So
Designated floaters.
correct.
In a group, you're a floater to float to another group.
Well, we had some like that, but we need designated, this is what we need. So we learned that. So you need car directors, I'll get you 4, right? We didn't need it in certain areas where we thought we did. And again, that's gonna help too, but what was that?
Just looking at the time.
Oh.
I was just.
You
looking
caught
at
our
the time
silent
and how much-
communication.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I think with that, that'll be helpful. But next year, every volunteer should have a very definitive answer of what they're doing. Because we did have a few sitting around. There were kids, mom and dads were getting annoyed that they were there for doing nothing. So we just got to make sure if they're spending their time doing it, we keep them busy. They want to be busy, so let's make them busy.
That's all I have to say about registration. Other than that, things definitely went better than prior years. Just a couple more kinks to work out. I definitely preferred having it up and away. I don't know how it went for parking because I didn't see that, but that's next.
It seemed to go significantly smoother than last year from where I was standing.
I helped park. I jumped in to help park. I think a couple good people that could park would be helpful. Parking is the same thing. You've got to be very vocal and you got to be very, very direct. And I love our demographic, but sometimes things are a little slow and chaotic. The parking, the people that are parking, they have to trust you, to park that car. And I'm like, listen, I worked at a car dealer for 10 years. I could park your car, person. Let's make it happen. And if we could get them parked quicker, that will speed up that process. But I think in having a couple more people to park would be huge. And they need to know how to park a car. They need to know how to show them in the mirror how to do it right. If we have that, I think that'll be huge.
We also need to really, this was our first year, but the sponsor volunteer on West St. Clair, we just have to reiterate to our parking guys again that if they have the sponsor and volunteer thing, because there was
Some that
several
volunteer.
of them parked on Van Dyke that should have been on West St. Clair because we did have plenty of room.
Well, I
on-
know one person that had a volunteer card.
Didn't want to be.
Yeah, he wanted to park with his buddies, so he was fine, but.
And the other ones, they drove through because the other people didn't catch the card.
Yeah.
So I think with that will be helpful.
And again, that's another learning curve.
It's just
It was
a learning
new thing we threw at
experience.
them
Yep.
this year.
I've heard from a fair amount of people that once they saw why we're doing what we're doing, knew that it was off-site. We don't change it. They said, Andy, I know where to go next year. This won't be
Right,
confusing.
exactly.
So
Correct.
they said, just don't change it. I
And
know
think
where to
it will
go.
make for calmer attitudes in the
Yeah.
lineup next year too, hopefully, now
Correct.
that people know kind of what's going on.
Raffle.
I don't really have anything to say about
I
raffle. We
do.
need less people, I think.
Correct. That was
We
part
need
of the
them
issue.
more somewhere else because
Correct.
we had
Yep.
kids just sit there.
Yeah, well, and I don't think kids should be manning the raffle with the monies. I
This
think.
was just for the
Correct.
volunteer part of the
Oh,
raffle.
This is
volunteer
The
part.
rest of the
So-
raffle is
Oh, okay,
Right. The rest of the raffles.
because I know where you're going.
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, raffle wise, we don't need that many in the morning to set up. And we'll talk about the other issues with raffle later, but we don't need that many in the morning. And we'll again, that goes
How
back to
many
the
did you have? I
volunteer.
don't even. I wasn't
Oh, there
done.
was probably 5 or 6 standing
Oh,
there
yeah.
doing nothing.
There's
And
not
I
that
pulled
much
the one
back,
kid
yeah.
up to help you guys, and you guys said he
Yeah.
was a huge help
Mhm.
putting packets
Yeah,
together.
just
So
putting, yeah, and I need a body
Yeah.
to stack packets.
Yeah.
Because sweet, God bless Terry Roach's heart, he did that almost the whole time. He
Yeah.
is the absolute best. Oh,
So general, I don't think we have much in general. No.
No, I think we can. Do
All
we
right.
need to add anything to the ops plan regarding volunteers?
The only thing I would add is we need to have a definitive number count
That's what I
and a
was gonna say.
definitive role.
yep,
So if she needs 4 volunteers with no skills, I don't want to say no skills, but if they're putting packets together and directing people where to park, we don't need classers and people who want to have a car knowledge. Anybody can do that,
so
right?
I will add a tab to this spreadsheet for volunteers. And I know we had one, so I might have a separate spreadsheet at home, I don't know, that has like who is lead on everything, and then we'll work through that hopefully soon.
Yep.
Maybe even you and I can just sit down after a finance meeting or something and go over it.
Absolutely.
right.
You want to move on to?
Yeah, move on to the car show. What worked, what didn't, changes for 2025. And this is People's Choice, DJ, sponsor parking,
Oh.
volunteer parking, the master
So
map.
your wife was half of counting the People's Choice. How'd she feel about
I
that?
will not, I don't want to ever do, I got, not to be dramatic, but the amount of people who followed me, cussed me out, screamed in my face about how we moved the time up an hour early. Like, it was not worth it to me. If I would prefer to do judge first and second place and still get the same amount of awards than do People's Choice again. One guy, I said, I can see if they're done count. If they're not done counting, I'll take these to them. Followed me and would not leave. And this was from the center of downtown to Mikey's where they were counting and would not leave until they saw me hand the ballots in. Like, I'm a female. I don't want to be followed through an empty.
Like being stopped.
No. And it wasn't like he was being nice. He was angry and swearing at me the whole way. So
So we had 4, Tammy was one of them. We had about 4 people counting all the People's Choice. Now they have.
There were 4 people?
There was
I thought it was just her and I only went in
It was
once.
her,
It was her
Janaea,
and Janaea.
Amy, and I forgot who the other, or for sure 3 there. I saw a 4th. I don't remember who the other one was. So there was that many counting them because there was a lot that got turned in, and there were some that just picked one person on the sheet, and some went down every single one, which is fine. Now Janae and them have figured they have figured that they can make it automated to speed that up in the counting and have it count and have a number right away, so they don't have to go through and redo it all. So they said if they work through that, it'll streamline that. So it just depends, and I would kick that back and talk with Wayne on it. I'm open to whatever, and I don't think that's called for either. People have to be realistic with this, and I just don't get
Do
it.
you allow everybody to do a People's Choice, or do you select a handful of people that
Everyone in the car
Everyone that
show gets a
registers a
ballot.
car can get a ballot.
Yeah, so they can all vote. A lot of them vote for their friends. We get that. So not everybody who walks up can. We did a kids' choice the year
Couple years
before,
ago, yeah.
and kids were allowed to pick, but that was any kid. But no, the only people that could do it, they get it with their registration. So it is limited to that many people, but still,
A lot of
you
That's a
know,
lot.
still a lot, right?
It was a
That's
lot.
500.
Yeah.
It took 3 volunteers over 3 hours
Yeah.
to go
And
through
we
them.
have 24 classes.
26,
26
A through
classes.
Z.
Right. So again, the hard part is, and you'd have to speak to this, you're more in the car community than I am. I mean, obviously they love to judge show. Is people choice that big of a deal or not that big of a deal for people, Charlie?
They like it. I know they like it.
The problem I find with people's choice is you're gonna have, like you said, they're gonna vote for their buddies, or it's just gonna be all over the map. You figure you have 400 or something
Popularity
cars.
contest, isn't it?
Correct.
More so than anything.
Correct.
It's just like high school king and queen all over again.
So
I mean, personally, I don't like people's choice.
I think we kick that back to Wayne. Wayne is our car show coordinator. I think we have that conversation with him. And here's the deal. If in the event that it stays, right?
It's got to get automated.
You're right.
So
because
It's going
we
to have
can't
to be
do it
like
again.
scan the QR code,
Vote.
a Google worksheet or whatever.
That's what I
am
thought,
not
like, if we do a
capable,
Google-
but-
So Tammy and Janaea said they can do per your thoughts. And we can force it to that one. Say, listen, if you're going to do it,
Right.
there's,
Oh, we
it
can
won't
force
be
that,
done. It won't
absolutely.
be done paper. It
Correct.
will be
Correct.
manual, and there will be a cutoff
And we
time.
can just stick them in the goodie bags and with
And be done.
registration, so
You're
there's no
scanning it.
extra.
Here's your thing. You're not turning this in. If you don't have a phone, too bad, so sad. If we do that, that is dramatically going to help out that timing, right?
See, and that is the way in which I would be okay with doing it again.
And if we do it, we could probably push that out to noon, because if we make it physically cut off at a certain time.
Oh yeah, we could push it off until 3
Well,
or 2:30
I wouldn't go that
because
far.
No,
we would
But
open
yes.
it. And
Correct.
I know, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
if we don't have to do any of the tabulating and we
Exactly.
just
Right.
get
Yeah.
the.
That's longer.
Right. Per awards, because are awards in that part or no?
no.
Awards separate? No, that would be part of it, right? So car show wise, let's add awards back to that. We have to have a list of all the awards and classes printed out. So as we were doing it, Wayne just went through and started writing the classes down and the awards he wanted to hand out. We need that pre-filled out, and that way we can list who it is.
What do you mean? Because he had the masterclass list that was bound that had a section for
Well, it was
people's choice and
he was going through going, well, we need this one, this one. He was writing them down. So maybe he just missed that.
he shouldn't
Okay.
have had to.
So we had that somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then we didn't have that. And we need, if we're doing it, no different than we had last year. So we're not scrambling looking for some. If we automate all this is going to be great. But if we have a winner in that winner, we need their contact info, all that. So that way, if we call them out, we can get a hold of them right away, like the car information. and
I already
everything.
have that we need to add the phone number to
Correct.
the car show registration because it's never been on there before. And this year we found out why it's necessary. When
A
car
DeLorean that wouldn't
breaks down
start.
in the middle of the road.
It stuck, and we couldn't open Van Dyke until the DeLorean got moved, and it was dead, and the owner was nowhere to be found. So that took a little extra time.
A lot of money for that scrap metal there. I worked for a scrap metal company. I could have got it moved real quick.
And that's all aluminum, right? Yeah.
Yep. I worked for a little company. It would have went real fast.
So make sure for awards, again, and maybe it was just a miss, but we need to have all that categorized and everything there. We need all the contact information just in case.
I
And
don't know how you're going to have all the contact information.
You're also not going to have all the contact information because with the 300 people that register that day, you'll have it. It'll just be.
it just needs to be with us. We had it down to registration. Remember, we were running to go find that
That's
car.
all you're saying.
Yeah, as long as all that stuff
I was
is
like,
down
we
there.
ain't gonna have all that
No,
automated.
no. I just need it where it's accessible.
Bring it
That's
with
it.
us.
Right. So that's just one of the things, bring that down with us. Don't
Yep.
leave it at registration.
Mhm.
So people choice, we'll write TBD on that one. We'll have a conversation. DJ requests.
I don't remember what that was. Oh, because this was my last agenda before we actually had Heritage Fest. So his request that he wanted, I left the DJ on there because
Are we going to
I think
look
we
at
need
options
to look at
for
options.
2025?
Yes.
Yeah.
So and this is my rub with that, right? We paid extra to have the extra speakers out. Now, it shouldn't be my job to run around to figure out if you can hear what's going on, but I end up doing that, right? So his guy and his assistant should be going through the day, and their argument was, well, it wasn't tall enough, so I got to adjust my Bluetooth. But once they adjusted, it was fine, right? But his guy or his assistant should be the one every half hour going and patrolling the show so people can hear it equally. And it wasn't. It was too loud in one area, not loud enough
I
in the other.
also wasn't impressed with the fact that he took up 5 parking spots with his,
Handicap parking spots.
and I wasn't impressed with the fact that they cut down banners without letting us know first.
Yeah.
Didn't even know about that.
That was,
Yeah.
I just felt like the whole attitude was like,
You did better than everybody else.
yes,
I
and
can tell
it,
you he lit my husband up too.
and
So.
he,
Something about the scissor lift. He was like chewing Matt out about, where's the key? I need the key. I need to move it. Matt's like, there's not a key. Well, you can't use it without a key. Well, Matt went over there and showed him how to
Especially
use
not
the lift
when
properly.
he
but-
showed up late,
I know.
he knew exactly what to expect. I don't want to make any like lines in the sand, but I think that this year is my last.
I think we
It
need,
used up every last bit of patience that I had before the show even started.
and we easily, if we would have known, and we told him that last year with taking the banners down, all he has to tell us is we get them zip tied on the lower side of the scissor lift, right? He didn't tell us that. It's an easy fix. And as we're running around, that's all we had to do is just move it down from the top bar to the bottom bar, easy peasy.
We also paid him a significantly larger amount of money, and he still was only there to walk through the show. Like, what was it? The Tuesday before Heritage Fest, because we had Jeep Night.
And I would also note how difficult it was to get a contract from that guy.
I still don't have the invoice. I've emailed, called,
Don't-
tried to get an
just-
I
invoice.
emailed him.
Cannot get.
If he
will
doesn't
not
send you an
one.
invoice, then too bad. Oh, we already paid him.
We already paid him.
Just,
I don't have a copy of the invoice for the
is the
village.
contract not enough for Kim?
We did the one the day of. Remember, I had to have him print
Yeah,
it
I
to get
have it. But it's, we have to sign the contract again before we can get to the invoice, and I'm
Oh.
not signing those contracts again. Hey, Steve.
Right.
So,
And I tried, and I can't get to it at all because
Yeah.
it wasn't under my email. So
All right. So let's make that option / TBD as well.
I think we already talked about sponsor and volunteer parking.
I
Yeah.
thought they were great.
I thought the both areas were great. I think if we hype that up more in the Y, I think that's fine. I think we need to
But then
know.
we can advertise that next year.
We can advertise that next
Mhm.
year, and it might be growing where we might need another section. I don't know,
Yeah, we'll see.
but I think that was fine. And we might go from that with the amount of volunteers we're starting to get that have cars. That might just be volunteer only, and then we might have to put sponsors somewhere else. But that's okay. It's a good problem to have.
Sure.
Master map.
I loved the way the layout was this year. I loved where the vendors were. I loved where sponsor parking was. I thought it worked really well. Obviously, we had a different plan for the entertainment tent, and we had to end up switching at the last second. I actually think it worked out the best it could because we used every last inch of East St. Clair during the cornhole tournament with the food trucks and everything else. So I think that part is going to have to be adjusted next year if we would like the entertainment tent on East St. Clair. We're just going to have to figure out a different spot for probably the food trucks. But other than that, I loved the way I loved the layout.
Parking is obviously a problem. And when we were at registration, we had a lot of people pulling in there trying to figure out where they could park to go to the festival. We really need to focus on finding a shuttle for next year
Yep.
from the school parking lot.
And if
That would help so much.
GLTA is not willing to do it again, then we just might have to self-fund it. because I think that would be huge. If we say parking is at OP or what middle school, whatever you decide, and run that shuttle every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I think the amount of
Or
people that
even
will show,
here, there's a decent amount of parking here we
Right.
could utilize, like,
whatever that is, I think that would be
Yeah.
huge.
it would help a lot.
Yeah.
Because that was a huge
Correct.
issue, was people coming to us and not knowing
Well,
the park.
And then, again, like I threw out to the Lions Club, they boarded all theirs off, so
Mhm.
nobody could use that. That would have been a good revenue generator
$5
for them. So there's
I'd pay $5 to park that close to downtown.
correct.
Mm.
I mean, we had cars parked all the way down East St. Clair to almost Kidder there. So, I mean, there was a fair amount. But if we have a shuttle, I think you got an opportunity to bring in more people where they could just drop them off right there at Four Corners.
I bet that we could. I wonder if Dean Transportation would do a bus and charge us, or just charge to park and to shuttle the people, like $5 a car, and then
Or donations for,
Yeah, right. Because then
Absolutely.
we don't even have to deal with GLTA. So
I'm fine with whatever we want to do. I just think you're right. We need a
We
shuttle.
really need a shuttle at this point, yes.
And parking up at the school, $5 donation plus a shuttle, and that'd be a good revenue generator for maybe Project Graduation or whoever else up there. So just a thought.
yeah, really, do we even need a bus? We could have like.
How about farmers and trailers?
I was honestly
Tractors.
thinking that. That's what I was thinking, like a hayride downtown.
Hayrides in town.
We'd have to check the liability. There is a gentleman.
I like it.
You will see him roaming around in Halloween. You're just nude out here, right?
I was just thinking
So
Steve Francis would do it.
I know Steve
Literally
has
just thinking
one.
that.
It all goes into liability. The end of it is
I
liability.
understand that.
But there is a gentleman around here that I don't know if that's Steve. That's another guy that pulls with a tractor. It's a very large covered.
Steve.
Is
that's
that Steve?
Francis.
It's Steve.
Yes,
okay.
it is.
Yep.
So it's large, it's lit, it's covered, it's festive. I mean, to me, that would be perfect. But I think it goes to the liability aspect. So we got to check that stuff.
Check on that one.
If you can get some horses, it's free, no gas.
Right.
All you gotta do is feed them some apples and you're good to go.
And clean up after.
And, well, that's
that's,
true too.
that's not too hard.
Well, the fields need some fertilization.
Yeah.
All right, not
Bands.
trying to rush, but we got.
Yeah, let's go on to entertainment. Bands, obviously, I mean, my thoughts, I love Family Tradition. Sunset Boulevard does an awesome job.
They do.
I think Wayland did great.
Yes,
I-
he was good.
I don't think we need to change them up. The only request I had is the minute the car show's done to keep
Correct.
people in
Yep.
town,
Yep.
we need to have a band ready to go.
I agree, and I think that this year was different because we moved the cornhole tournament up earlier in the day. Usually the cornhole tournament didn't start until the car show was over, so it got people into the tent. This year the cornhole tournament was over before the car show was even over, and then there was that lull. So that's definitely one of the top things on my list was is soon have a band at 4:30, 4 whatever to go to whoever our opener is or our main act is to keep people downtown.
Yeah, we need to have somebody start like
Yeah.
at 4.
That was the biggest thing. And I think that would get, and if having a shuttle and people didn't have to leave right away, that'll keep people down there having fun.
We do 50/50 raffles too.
We did.
We
Yeah.
What about a large raffle right at the end of the car show? Right
We do.
before you start the bands?
We do.
So we do. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do.
So the 50-50 at the end, we did
announced
last
it
call.
right before the car show awards, so.
And it doubled to it was over $1,600. So we do one of those.
We let our
But
trap team run it, did you say that?
oh yeah, Elmont Trap Team ran it.
Because we just did not have the manpower to.
Right.
And I actually stepped in and started helping them at the end because they were just overwhelmed.
Oh, there's
It
a
was
lot of
funny.
people. A lot of people.
There was a
We
huge
could
crowd.
do to that point if we had something again. We have the band out there. If someone's doing 50-50 for the next hour for another charity or whatever we want to do, that's another option. Maybe keeping people,
A second 50-50.
right. But after the car show,
That's what I'm saying, after the
yeah,
car
we
show.
could do something like that.
So I go to a huge benefit for kids to raise money. And one of the biggest things that we use to raise money for the children is gun raffles, decks of cards.
Yeah.
This being the country, I don't know if the liability would allow it or not, to get a gun sponsor to do this stuff. And we do decks of 48 cards. And when we have our thing over at the hall, we go through 100 decks of cards.
Which one? Through who?
Benefit for Kids.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
All right.
a big one over in January, right off of Gresham. It's a huge one. Sells out, and the tickets go on sale tomorrow. It'll be sold out in 2 days.
Okay. Is that the one with the Works Warriors? Or no, that's separate?
No, this is the one with kids. They take them on hunting trips. So
Okay.
it's like, Make a Wish, but it's all based on hunting, and so these kids get to go swordfish, all these things like that.
I think we're opening up many ideas. I think we're open all that stuff as long as it's kosher with what we can get away with is key, right?
That'd be a question to
Yeah.
ask police and,
Yeah.
licenses you need to carry to do that.
That's just a raffle license. So doing all that, just a raffle license is really all we
Gun
need.
shop to wanna do it with us.
Correct. So I don't know if the ATF would be happy, us serving alcohol and, well, we don't do tobacco, but
Well,
we'll
they
see.
do it at the hall. We
I
go
know,
to.
I'm just being facetious. I know.
mean, they do all sorts of gun trips and husband and wife, a pink gun and a black gun. I mean, it's crazy stuff they put together.
Possible. I mean, I think we're open to ideas and planning through. We got about 10 minutes left. I know. Let me go to production.
Yeah.
Production, basically, we got to get a new production
Kyle's
company.
gonna help me.
Kyle's going to help. There were some issues with production, and admittedly, he was referred by them before, but he said we've got to move on, so we're going to do that. Tent location and size. I'll be honest. The extra price for the A-frame tent I loved. The big question is where we have it for next year. If we go back to East St. Clair, it's got to be either 30 or 36 by 30 by 120, which is fine. But I did like that.
30 wide enough for the bands?
Yeah.
The stage has to
Their
be at one end or the
stages-
other.
24.
24, okay.
Yep. 16 by 24 is
Cool.
their stage.
Want to make sure.
Yep.
Just thought about that.
We talked through that day when we were moving stuff around. So, but for the extra money, the tent
That's
felt
nice.
more presentable,
Yes.
fancy. It just
Yeah.
felt more of a good venue.
And also, I didn't trip over this outside ropes when I was running from one
Right.
place to the next, like I did every year.
Right. Cornhole tournament. I feel that was successful. I don't know.
I
Blake
didn't
would
even
have to
get to
talk to
I
that.
have on my notes talk to Blake. The only one thing I have is we either have to start later or do double elimination because it was over so quick
Was it?
that it didn't keep anybody.
Interested? Longer?
Well, they all loved it, but the year before it lasted like 5 hours because they did double elimination and it went so late that it was pitch black and you couldn't see anymore. So this year Blake moved it up and did single elimination, but then it was over with in like an hour. And we kind of wanted that to fill the space in between the car show and
I was gonna say, I think that might be a good thing. We start near the end of the car show, not in the middle of what we're trying to accomplish, but that could be a good carryover. The band there, if we do a raffle, again, keeping people around to hang out because last year, I mean, we had tons of people hanging out for that, like a lot. But we can't go into. I think it was almost 9:30 by the time we
It
were
was
done last
very
year.
late.
yeah,
So we got to work on
9:30,
that.
that balance. I was thinking if it started at 3 and they did double elimination and he only took a certain amount of teams, we could end at before the sunset and still keep people around.
So, all right, and it's not on here, but I want to add because we're talking about the entertainment area is vendors or not vendors, the food trucks. They did it again this year. They left before they were supposed to. If we bring them back, I am not in favor of bringing them back. I'd rather, again, if we get the businesses to do food, I'd rather see our people make
I do
money.
know several food trucks sold out because I contacted them after and they just had nothing left. I agree.
I get it.
I'm
I
not
get it.
disputing what
I
you're
know.
saying, but
But if we
Just
bring
chain
them,
all together.
well, I know, but if we're going to do it, it's a $500 deposit and you'll get it back when you've finished out the night because those are the nights people are hanging out. And again, I'd rather see Roses do pizzas or Roots do pulled pork or whoever, but we just can't. Part of the whole reason why when we moved the tent, we kept the area flowing was to get people out there to go to the food trucks and the food trucks left. So if we would have knew they weren't going
They
to.
were warned too that it was gonna be a good sized
Oh,
crowd.
they knew.
should have known by the
They
next
knew.
day.
They knew.
They
Most
knew.
of them were there
Oh,
the
yeah.
year before.
They were there the
all
year
of them
before.
were-
All of them
they
were
the
there.
year before.
So, and again, we redesigned the tent area to accommodate so that way people would flow out there and then they weren't there. So we could have left the stage where it was if they would have stuck around. So again, they signed up for it. Every year's a crapshoot. We get that. But we've been able to deliver. The only thing that we can't deliver is the weather. That's it. There are 600 people there. If you can't sell them a hot dog or a pizza or whatever, that's on you. And that could be your pricing, or they just don't like what you're selling at. But there's a captive audience there. They should be able to buy.
And I will say, in case anyone is watching this, Mr. Italy stayed. They were the only
Yes,
ones
they did.
to
Sorry.
stay
Yes.
until the very end, and they're
Correct.
the sweetest
They're
people.
so nice.
They are so nice.
And I can't
They're super
speak
nice. I remember
more
them
highly
from
of them.
last
They're
year.
just
Right. Super, super nice. And they did
And their
say,
pizza's so damn good.
let me
And
rephrase
then
that. They did say.
the other one was Polish Mania. I knew that they were not going to stay for the beer tent. They only wanted to be there for the car show. And unless we want to mandate that anyone who signs up has to be there for the beer tent and the car show, but they said they do not do late nights. And so,
So the hard part is logistics and space, right? Because again, A, getting them in and out, and B, that's real estate there that we're reserving for one thing. And if we don't, so we got to talk through that.
yep,
So,
that's fine. I'm going to mark that we need to talk through the food trucks more.
yeah.
Hi, Melissa.
What you want to go to raffle, goodie, whatever?
Yep.
Okay.
Raffle baskets. They're awesome, and I know people really enjoy them, but we put a lot of time into it, collecting things. Our businesses put a lot of money into those raffle baskets. I don't know if we need to increase ticket prices maybe for next year, but we made like $1,600 on the raffle baskets, which is more than the year before, and that's great, but I don't feel like that's a lot for 30 plus
And we didn't even
baskets.
necessarily make that because we spent money to make those cups to add to
Sure
them and for the raffle boxes.
Yep. So we as a board put money into that raffle. So yeah, we need to reevaluate that. Let's just
Let's put
call
that
it
as TBD.
Yeah, that's why I put ROI on there. Is it
Yeah.
worth it to?
Yep. I think it's definitely an attraction.
Yeah,
and people love them. Like I think we need to continue to do it, but we need to do it smarter.
What
do
about,
less of them
Mm.
and increase the things, or I really like the 50-50 and the golf cart, like
say if you're gonna spend time on things, maybe selling raffle tickets.
The
or
only
golf
thing
cart
is that people, most of our raffle stuff is donated, and we wouldn't get that. But is it worth the $1,600 that we made?
I
I
don't.
mean, that's like one sponsorship.
So what if, and we could talk through this, but what if you're donating a raffle basket, it comes presented as a raffle basket, we're not making it up, which is also, for the ROI on that is the gathering, the putting, the making, the whatever. Maybe if you say, hey, we're gonna do it, you have to donate a basket. We're not, I don't know. I
Right. We
mean,
don't
might
want to
limit,
piecemeal it.
correct.
I definitely think ticket prices need to increase no matter what, though.
that's what I was gonna ask before we did that this year, but so, I mean,
I think we definitely need to for next year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chat through that.
Okay.
Heritage Fest, what worked, what didn't.
Wait, no, vendors.
You
Oh,
mean?
sorry. Wrong one. All right, vendors.
I didn't see vendors. So, vendors. What worked, what didn't? Do we have issues? Do we need to fix anything?
Actually, it worked really well. Everyone was there within a decent amount of time. We worked out where they were going, loading, unloading. Everyone helped out each other too.
Awesome.
I thought the location was great.
That was a good spot instead of being where we had to hurry up and get everyone out and set up and everything. It worked really well there. There was plenty of space too.
Right. Well, I think that's another one where we're talking about volunteers. We could get some of the student volunteers, so you're not doing it, for them to speed up the unloading. Let them help if you want. And at the end, instead of you being tied up, either tell them to load their, because they're not on Van Dyke, they're not blocking anything. They can they can load themselves up. There's not a time constraint on that. So I think, me personally, so you're not tied up at the end. They know the cutoff time. I think they could, I don't know if they need help at that point in time. If we do, that's another good part for our volunteer kids to work.
If you look at like time efficiency, they did need help because a lot of them were by themselves, unloading like a full truck bed or the whole van. So it did help. But I wasn't rushed to help anyone. I was helping like one at a time as they were coming in and leaving, and it worked out really well.
Right. Okay. All right.
Race, and I think then we gotta
Yeah.
move on.
Race.
Race.
I love the location right downtown.
So my only thing with the race is it did get reversed on the route. I think if we reverse the route the way we originally designed it, I think when we put the graphics to it, it went the wrong direction.
Just to listen to the meeting and then get a paper signed for my government.
But I think doing that is going to smooth that out a lot more. I do need more confirmed volunteers as direction people. So for volunteer wise, we need more in that regard.
Sorry, I was just
Yeah. So I think again,
Did you tell him to come in that door, whoever is?
No, she's leaving.
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I think it's just a matter of having the more volunteers to help with direction out in the race course would be helpful. Again, a huge thanks to Tim and his wife. They jumped in and helped. So that was huge. So I think, if we take what we had and double what we actually were looking for, I think that's what we need next year for the race course volunteers.
I think the addition of the fun run and 10K went over phenomenally. So, and I don't think it was substantially more work. So I would like to leave.
Oh, yeah, definitely keep them for sure.
And we need officer at Kidder
Yep.
Crossing at the subdivision, and then one at East St. Clair because of all the issues there with people.
With the race, like if we had a more definitive like line for them to follow, so they're not getting confused of who's doing the 5K, who's doing the 10K. Like I know they have like the spray paint chalk
That's right, we talked about that.
that you could do like one color for the fun run, one color for the 5K, and one color for the 10K. And then you can draw arrows as you're doing it, and that can help with the direction as well. As long as it's not raining.
Correct.
Good point.
All right, it's a minute till I know I have to go to the bathroom. Yeah, let's
go to the bathroom.
adjourn the volunteer meeting, go to the bathroom. You gotta stop the meeting, start the other one.
Yeah, yeah.